कुमार स्वामी नायक गोंगो लिबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
In the news tonight, TCSA fails to dampen Fijian spirit. Government prioritizes distribution of ration. And health teams deployed to mitigate risks of disease outbreak.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Pulau Naka, Fiji. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama is pleased with the show of Fijian spirit and unity in the Northern Division, especially at a time when residents are still coming to terms with the loss from TCSA. The Prime Minister is encouraging Fijians in affected areas not to rely only on government assistance and highlighted the need for Fijians to help one another. Korey Tandudalala has the details.
Government officials are currently on the ground in Vanuatu continuing their assessment and providing necessary supplies to affected citizens.
But you can see that there's no problem with anything. We're still laughing, we're still drinking grog. Yeah.
The Prime Minister says more help will be provided in due time.
I think we're going to provide another 14 days food ration when this one finishes.
Defence Minister Inia Suriratu highlighted that those delivering assistance must ensure all family members in the affected communities are accounted for.
For 14 days, and there are 2 separate packs, one for adult and one for a child. So for me, in my family there are no more child, we are all adults. So I will have 5 adult packs, one for the father, one for the mother and the 3 children. But we want to ensure that we reach everybody quickly, and the intention for that food is food for good.
The government, in coordination with NGOs and civil societies, is hoping to assist all affected Fijians in the next few days. Korey Tandulala, FBC News.
Villagers of Dongea in Wainunumbua are counting their lucky stars for moving to an evacuation center before TCSA started hitting them last Thursday. 35 of the 37 homes in the village were destroyed by the Category 5 cyclone, which caused the nearby river to flood, laying waste to villagers' belongings. Korey Tandulala again.
The villagers of Dongea are now picking up the pieces of what's left of their homes, hoping for assistance to arrive soon.
I plan on picking up the pieces of whatever is left from this house to build a new home somewhere safer, so my children will be safe in case something like this happens again.
We took shelter in a house on top, and we stood helpless as we watched the strong currents of the floodwaters and winds tearing our house down and took away everything inside the house.
When the eye of the cyclone passed over us, it tore down one side of the house we were sheltering in, and we were forced to stand on the other side throughout the night till daybreak.
The path of destruction left behind by the severe cyclone has left many families displaced in need for basic necessities and a lesson for others as well.
Right now we are in need of food, clothes and tent for shelter. At the moment, about 260 people are taking shelter in one of the houses.
This is a lesson for me to move to somewhere higher and not to build houses near a river, so my children won't have to face the same situation we're in now.
When I came the next morning to look at my house, I saw it was destroyed. Tears flowed down my eyes, and the only thing that came to my mind was for me to move away from the village as I live alone.
Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama, on his visit to the village, assured the people that help is on the way. Korey Tandulala, FBC News.
Despite losing everything to Tropical Cyclone Yasa, residents of Malawai and Reketi remain optimistic. Residents in this part of the Northern Division have started rebuilding their homes with whatever they have.
Iron roofing blew like sheets of papers when TC Yasa battered Malawai Reketi for 6 hours.
At around 7 in the evening, we called a neighbor for assistance. He came and picked us up in a vehicle. As we are nearing his home, his vehicle glass smashed. We took shelter at his home and his house started leaking.
Prasad says it was terrifying as they had no idea what the next hour would bring.
People have no water, food, or even any beddings left. No electricity, even the livestock are dead, but we are happy that the government official visited us and we know they will help us.
Some even lost whatever little crops they had on their farms.
I used to work at people's home. I used to get $10 or $20 a day. My husband, who has passed away, had planted some rice. Even that has been destroyed.
I have never experienced anything like this in my life. I have lost my house, but my kids told me they will rebuild.
People in this area need food, water and clothes. They remain optimistic that help will arrive soon. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
The Fijian government is prioritizing people affected by tropical cyclone Yasa by distributing food packs and ration to those in dire need. Minister for Defence Inia Seruiratu, while briefing relief assisting teams, highlighted the need for them not to double up to ensure everyone in need receives help. Kureitan Dulalar has more.
The villagers of Navakasali were the first to be assisted by the government post TC Yasa.
I am so grateful to the government for providing us with food rations and other assistance to help us get our lives back on track.
This assistance is really timely because we really don't have food right now, as our crops were claimed by the cyclone.
Most of us are only left with the clothes on our back. The assistance provided by the government will help me and everyone else pick up from wherever TC Yasta has left us.
The government is urging other organizations providing relief assistance to liaise with them to ensure everyone gets help.
There are NGOs here in the house, NGOs and civil societies. You go and bid with your partners to assist victims of this disaster.
The villages of Navakasali are among the most affected by tropical cyclone Yasa. Kureitan Dulalar, FBC News.
Logistics officers from the Health Ministry have been deployed to the Northern Division with supplies to mitigate the risk of disease following TC Yasa. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Dr. James Fong says the risk of leptospirosis, diarrhea, typhoid and dengue fever are high as these diseases are common after a natural disaster. Dr. Fong confirmed to FBC News that forward planning centers have been set up in some hotspots in Vanua Levu. The Permanent Secretary says another health program is underway where the health inspectors are overseeing source reduction measures which need to be undertaken.
We would want people to work with their COVID-safe measures because the COVID-safe measures do help in terms of reducing most infectious diseases. There's also the need to have appropriate footwear during this time, closed shoes so that you could avoid things like leptospirosis. And then we have to have the other, like I said, the source reduction measures, which means that we have to try and get to find any still water. Tires need to be turned over and yards need to be cleaned to reduce the population of mosquitoes.
And they've also deployed a team of doctors and nurses to assist in controlling any outbreak. On infrastructure, Dr. Fong says a team is currently on the ground to assess damage to health facilities. Up ahead, Fiji stops all inbound flights from Thursday. And Agriculture Ministry begins distribution of seedlings.
Baik, kemudian jadi kita tahu रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Welcome back. All inbound passenger flights to Fiji scheduled between Thursday to next Monday have been ceased. This has been announced by the COVID-19 Risk Mitigation Task Force. With a new variant of coronavirus in the United Kingdom, a number of nations have started imposing travel bans. The new strain is more transmittable, but there is no evidence it is more deadly. The Health Ministry will use this period to conduct an extensive review of its border quarantine processes. The situation will be reviewed during this period and may be extended. A slew of countries have closed their borders to Britain over fears of a highly infectious new coronavirus strain. This has heightened global panic, causing travel chaos and raising the prospect of UK food shortages days before the Brexit cliff edge. The European Union has pledged to spend close to $2 million in humanitarian aid to deliver emergency relief to families affected by TC Yasa. This is so far the largest funding pledge made towards TC Yasa relief efforts. The EU Commissioner for Crisis Management says their contribution will support the Fijian government and their humanitarian partners in getting crucial aid to the people most vulnerable. TCIASA has so far affected close to 200,000 people along its path, with over 23,000 forced to flee their homes and seek shelter in hundreds of evacuation centers. The EU funding will support humanitarian aid partners already on the ground to respond to the immediate needs of those most in need. This includes shelter, food, healthcare and access to clean water, safe sanitation and good hygiene. The funding is part of the EU's acute large emergency response tool. The Ministry of Agriculture has started distributing seedlings and other farming material to cyclone-affected families. Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy says this includes over 10,000 seedlings, bele cuttings and over 150,000 cassava stems. The minister says the agriculture sector in the north has been severely affected. The minister also says 120 staff have been deployed to Vanuatu to assist affected communities. He adds assistance to other affected parts of the country, including Lomai Viti and the Lao group, are also being put together.
This support will continue for the next 4 months. So we will continue to attend to these households on a priority basis, the areas of Maduwata, Bua and the Congrove, southern and northern Lao and Lomai Viti, so that these households are supported. Unfortunately, the damage is quite large. We have done our initial damage assessment and we have quantified it, and the figure is with the NDMO.
The festive season continues to be a blessing for many in the tourism industry who were badly impacted by COVID-19. One local business in particular is Captain Cook Cruises, which has garnered a huge number of bookings for Christmas and New Year's cruises, so much so they've had to call in more staff during the holiday period. Details with Felipe Naikaso.
They've been blown away with the response and demand shown by Fijians who continue to support the tourism industry during these times.
And as of today, Captain Cook has been able to employ 75% of our staff and our crew. For our next 2 trips, we have above 100 that will be traveling with us. And due to popular demand, we'll be opening another 3 cruises after the 2nd of January.
Today, more than 50 people were booked for this 4-day Christmas cruise to the Asawas, the first since the pandemic crippled the tourism industry.
The response has been overwhelming, and it took us 9 months to prepare for this one trip during the shutdown. So we're ready to go, and with 55 passengers on board, we'll see how the first cruise go.
And for some of the passengers on board, this will be a memorable moment for them.
The first time we'll be celebrating Christmas on board Captain Cook Cruises. That gives a very good opportunity for us to be out, after being locked down from coronavirus from March.
Captain Cook Cruises remains optimistic for next year as they continue to recover from COVID-19. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
And time for tonight's business with Koroi.
Thanks, Edwin. Coming up, Christmas in the city gets underway. And FNPF activates TCIASA relief for members. Stay with us.
Pula natang ko aprosa ng karse, go erkraki. Do televizyon na parang na Radio Fiji 1 na domibit.
Radio Fiji 1.
Business in Suva has been slow despite the festive period. The Christmas in the City sale started this morning. Many people were seen shopping for necessities such as school supplies, but how many took advantage of the Christmas sale today has yet to be seen. Jeshulal with the details.
After it was resumed yesterday, businesses and retailers in the capital city were ready for their Christmas in the City sale today. FBC News spoke with a few retailers and customers who gave their views on the Christmas hype.
Last year was very good because we didn't have this situation at that point. So regarding the situation now, it has badly hit the business communities and other communities as well, students and everybody. So basically, we don't expect the Christmas rush that used to be.
For Sudha Prasad, Christmas will not be the same this year as her business has been struggling since COVID-19 hit in March.
People have no job, jobless, no money. That's why the business was very slow.
President of Suva, Marika Rambele, says school stationery for his children is his first priority.
Every Christmas we don't spend much money on Christmas thing. I just spend it for the children because that's worthy from spending on Christmas. That's why we here today buying school thing first. Then when it's ready, then we can spend our money in other things.
Through the Christmas in the City sale, retailers hope to make enough revenue to maintain their businesses. The Christmas in the City sale ends this Thursday. Jeshu Lal, FBC News.
Well, people are decidedly more mindful of their spending this year. Some parents say the least they could do for their children is put a smile on their faces. We caught up with some parents purchasing toys for their young ones in Suva today. They said 2020 was a challenging year and they had to work with a tight budget. Kalisita from Tongalevu village, Lami, says she had put some money aside to purchase a toy car for her 2-year-old son.
This is actually his second year, so just buy him some few things for Christmas. Especially the small ones, I have to buy the gift for them.
Sharon from HFC Bank joins us now with the latest from the trading world.
Hello there. Looking at the latest in markets, Australia's retail sales jumped 7% in November, according to stats released today. This was partly contributed by Victoria's retail sales, which grew by 21% after many shops were allowed to reopen in late October. In the US, the $900 billion aid package meant to stimulate a pandemic-hit US economy finally got cleared through their House of Reps. The stimulus package comes as the pandemic is accelerating in the United States, infecting more than 214,000 people every day and slowing their economic recovery. Meanwhile, in Eurozone, added uncertainty over the UK's Brexit situation saw investors flee to safe haven assets. Also, the UK has prompted tighter lockdowns and travel restrictions across Europe. This will likely continue to weigh on investor sentiment in days ahead. But for now, that's all from your HFC Bank. Vinaka.
Here are the local exchange rates as set early this morning. As the foreign exchange markets remained in chaos due to the recurrence of the pandemic, the Fiji dollar showed strength against regional currencies such as the PNG Kina and the Aussie and Kiwi dollars. It also rose against the Chinese yuan and the US greenback, losing ground only to the euro and the yen. And on to the commodities market, oil continued its slow climb, nearing $48 per barrel. Gold was down slightly at $1,882 per ounce, and silver, of course, closed up at $26.25. Fiji National Provident Fund members living in areas that have been declared worst affected by TC Yasa will be able to access their funds for natural disaster rehabilitation purposes. The FNPF board in its meeting yesterday approved a maximum of $2,000 per household, which could be withdrawn for cyclone relief assistance. This withdrawal will be accessed from the members' general account, with $100 being the minimum withdrawal amount. The fund's inspection teams have been deployed to Vanuatu and Taveuni and have started visiting the affected areas. Chief Executive Chauji Koroi says the fund is aware of members needing access to funds for immediate relief, and this is being enabled through on-site assessment and application submissions. Only FNPF members living in the areas affected by TC Yasa will be assisted. That's it from Business Tonight. Kara joins you next with the latest in sports.
Vinaka Koroi, good evening. And in sports tonight, Fiji Party extended squad named, and Fiji willing to host OFC Nations Cup. This and more coming up.
कुमार सामी नाइक है गोंगवा लिबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में
The Fiji National Rugby League has announced its 47-member Fiji Party extended squad for the 2021 World Cup.
Until the much-anticipated tournament next October, the FNRL will be working closely with coaching officials to ensure they select the best of the best to represent Fiji.
Yet is to go beyond the semi-final stages of the Rugby League World Cup. Currently, the Fiji parties are ranked to everyone who is involved in preparing the team to the Rugby League World Cup.
Out of 47, 14 of these players are resident Fijians, with the likes of Ratu Timothy Motokula, Pio Sethi, and Penioni Tangituimua.
47-member squad has a good mix of experience, talent, and age. A lot of work will be put out by the players and team.
Fiji is putting its hand up to host the Oceania Football Confederation Nations Cup in June next year. The Fiji Football Association will be working closely with OFC to have the tournament hosted in Fiji in May at ANZ Stadium in Suva and Lautoka's Churchill Park. It will come down to either Fiji or New Zealand to host the 2020 World Cup qualifier. Chief Executive Mohammed Yusuf says the final decision will be made by government.
The OFC will be working with the government in terms of trying to bring in the Oceania Nations Cup or the Qatar World Cup qualifiers to Fiji as a one-off tournament. So all the 11, 10 other member countries will be coming to Fiji if the negotiations are will be okayed. And New Zealand and Fiji are the only two venues that could possibly host this one-off tournament.
Fiji football national head coach Fleming Sharislev believes this will be a good opportunity for the national team to showcase their talent.
Fiji FA is a very good organization, so of course they are able to host the World Cup qualifiers. Secondly, it would be a great opportunity for us to play on home soil, so to say, and show a kind of football that we hope the Fiji spectators will love.
More than 10 countries will compete in the Nations Cup, and Fiji FA believes Fiji is capable of hosting such an event.
Fiji definitely has two venues. ANZ Stadium is more than capable, and Churchill Park in Lautoka. There's only two venues. Churchill Park has got a drawback. There's no lights, so all should be day matches. Whereas ANZ Stadium we can play at night as well.
The OFC Nations Cup is a qualifying event for the 2022 FIFA World Cup to be held in Qatar. Caroline Tavi, FBC Sports. Suva Football Association took time out last night to celebrate its 2020 achievements and honor those who made it possible. Suva scooped 3 titles this year: the Vodafone Futsal IDC, Vodafone Fiji Fact, and the Vodafone Premier League. The titles has been long time coming for Suva Football President Ritesh Pratap, who has had to face many criticism in his role. Pratap says they have big plans for the new season and defending the titles will not be easy.
Yes, I think as you said, I think winning a title is very, very easy, but defending a title is very, very hard, I think. But yes, definitely we'll be working hard and we'll be setting up our goals next year. And yes, definitely want to defend those 2 titles and also win the titles we don't have one. So definitely, as I've said, we want to do a clean sweep. Our target is to do the clean sweep.
The sacrifices made by the Suva players has all paid off.
Knowing my brothers, they've gone through a lot for the past 4 years, having to sacrifice, leaving their families back at home, and be part of the team. 4 years we haven't won anything, but I guess 2020 was the year that we were able to gel in together.
Suva will now prepare for the Champion vs Champions tournament against Lambasa that is scheduled to be held on the 23rd and 31st of January. Caroline Tavi, FBC Sports. Fiji's golden boy Roy Krishna and his ATK Mohan Began side were wearing black armbands to remember the lives lost during TC Yasa in their clash against Bengaluru FC today. Krishna helped his side beat Bengaluru 1-0 in the India Super Premier League at Fatora Stadium. With David Williams' lone goal of the match, ATK ended Bengaluru's FC's unbeaten start to the India Super Premier League 2020 and 2021. Now to the play of the day. Tammy Abraham scored a brace of goal as Chelsea ended their recent mini slump by beating West Ham United 3-0 at Stamford Bridge today. This victory means Chelsea moves up to 5th in the Premier League on 25 points and behind 4th place Everton, while West Ham remains on 10th at 21 points. That's it from Sports Tonight. In new media, take a look at some of the new features of the OnePlus ST Cyberpunk 2077 edition. Details after the break.
भाई टोटली यार दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Welcome back. In new media, OnePlus has just announced the Cyberpunk 2077 edition of its latest smartphone, the OnePlus 8T. The new model is available only in China for now. All of Fiji saw fine weather today. In the west, it was warm and sunny under mostly clear skies. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, following a few morning scattered showers, skies cleared, making way for a fine afternoon. And up north, conditions were generally fine with occasional light showers. At sea, southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots and moderate seas. The next high tide will be at 8:02 a.m., followed by low tide at 8:25 a.m. and sunrise is at 6:28. The fine weather will continue into tomorrow with scattered showers in the north and along eastern shores of the main islands. Temperatures will remain in the low 30s. Looking ahead to Thursday, generally good weather and high temperatures accompanied by occasional showers, mostly in the north and east. And in Fijian Pulse, we asked, are you doing Kalavata this Christmas?
We'll be wearing Kalavata for this Christmas, just a family reunion, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year.
For this year, Christmas will be extra special because we'll be celebrating our 1-year anniversary with my husband and with our extended family, and of course we'll be wearing our Christmas Kalavata.
I will be wearing Kalavata this Christmas season because I will be celebrating it with my extended family in the village.
I won't be wearing Kalavata this Christmas for the sole reason we've toned down Christmas this year due to TCW Yasa. We've had families that have lost, families that have lost their place, their house, their homes, and celebrating it this year is not going to be the same.
And recapping the main stories, TC Yasa fails to dampen Fijian spirit. Government prioritized distribution of ration and health teams deployed to mitigate risks of disease outbreaks. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM and to our poll question. This week we are asking, is Christmas too commercial? Visit our FBC website to answer. And on to our shot of the day. This picture was taken at Natuvu Wharf in Savu early morning by Divek Gounder. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media pages including Facebook, Twitter, and we're also on Instagram. That's your news for this evening. Until tomorrow, Modemanda.
कुमार स्वामी नायक है गोंगवा लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.